Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And today we are covering a new Netflix doc, aka Charlie Sheen. So, we were started to talk about it, and then I said, save it for the pod. Because, I watched it today. It was a lot to take in. This is very much our era. I feel like I went through all of this with him.
This is a Gen X documentary.
Yeah. So high level, what did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. It was honest. He was great. He mentioned it all. Mm-hmm. He was very forthright about his mistakes, about his life, about himself. Mm-hmm. And, all the people in his life. What an amazing life.
Yeah.
Really quite something. I love seeing all of his childhood friends,
mm-hmm.
Who are pretty much all, famous actors as well, his family. All of it. Denise Richards,
mm-hmm.
His friend Tony Todd.
Oh, that's the real hero of the story, Tony Todd.
Wow, what a friend.
Yeah, what a good friend.
Yeah,
he didn't need to be such a good friend. He, if I was Tony Todd's friend, I would have told him, you got to get out of this. And the fact that he stayed in it and, protected him and loved him. And
he loved him. He was, And, God, the fact that he's still standing.
Yeah.
Just everything about it was fascinating. I loved it.
So I enjoyed it. I did like it. It was very interesting. It was a lot. I think watching it in one sitting is a lot. I think that for me, because I have this background in drug and alcohol, I'm always kind of like looking at what is he saying? What is he saying? What is he not saying? And I do think that he owned some stuff, but there was still, and again, I don't know if it's that he doesn't realize it or if it's just what he decides to share on this documentary. But it feels like there's some accountability, but not, I don't ever feel like we ever get something from him that really feels like, that a true sobriety. And I do wonder if, I don't know. He says he's sober now.
What would that look like? What would he have to do or say to?
Just some of the, I have tons of notes so I can go back and look at these places. I don't know if it's so much that, spoiler alert, he could not say that he had sex with men at the end. He talked about a menu for a while. He could not say it. And then it was the producer that said it to him. It's like, okay, fine. If all of those things. it just kind of, it felt like, especially when he was talking about the tiger's blood stuff, during that time, like, well, I was goaded and I was this and I was that. And then it just kind of got off the rails. And there is a little bit of, all of this crapola that you've done has affected 5 children and 3 wives. And yeah, you've been like a storm through all of these people's lives. And these people seem to really care about you. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And he's an interesting addict because obviously there's some genetic pieces of it, but he's an addict where it's like, there's no particular reason why, it wasn't like he's trying to, he had some horrible childhood and he's trying to, live with it. It's really it's almost like the fame made the addiction worse. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like the more famous he got and the more he was acknowledged for what he did, the worse the addiction got. And so it seemed to be this push-pull his whole life. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I don't know. We always blame the people and we don't blame the drugs. Like alcohol, crack, whatever. These are highly addictive drugs.
Yes, they are.
Where you start doing them and you can't stop doing them because they hijack your brain. And I felt like this documentary was taking accountability. I mean, he doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to say, yes, I had sex with men. Obviously, we get the picture. We get the idea. We understand what's going on here. I mean, I don't know what, I feel like he laid it out all out on the table. I don't know what more he could have said. The guy is trying. I don't know. I mean, look, the reason why, Sammy, Denise Richards' oldest daughter, reportedly is not speaking to him. So I go online, I'm like Googling, well, why isn't she speaking to him? Apparently she's upset that he didn't call and check on her after her nose job. Okay. Like there's a lot more to that story than that. But yet it gets reported out there that, Sammy Sheen is, not talking to her father, has no contact with him. And, and that's the thing. He's very famous and this is always how it's been for him, how it'll always be for him. He's never going to be able to catch a break. I felt it was sincere and I don't know how much more raw he could possibly be.
Okay. Again, hey, everybody out there listening, it was just a vibe that I felt. And maybe I'm wrong. And the other thing too is I don't know him, so I don't know him personally. It's hard to compare that to, because what am I comparing it to? But because he's never sat down like this and watched and spilled his whole life. And it was interesting. I mean, I knew obviously that he was Martin Sheen's son, but I didn't know that these guys made all these Super 8 movies. I didn't know this was like a hobby and all of that. I always thought they kind of really tumbled into acting because it was what their dad did. But it looked like they really both, he and Emilio and Sean Penn and like all of them really loved making movies.
I don't think Martin Sheen did anything to help him ever get a job. You know what I mean?
No.
Obviously he's his son, but I don't think Martin Sheen was going out and calling up producers or calling up Francis Ford Coppola and saying, can you give my kid a job? I think they got that all on their own.
Somewhat. I mean, I just want to say he's friends with Jennifer Grey. Well, you're friends with Jennifer Grey because you're part of this community.
Well, they all grew up together.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's opportunity. I mean, he was, he had more of an opportunity than someone that grows up in Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, but again, I don't dislike him. I'm not saying that I think that he isn't being honest. It's just this feeling, just a feeling that I have. But again, everyone can tell me I'm wrong, that I'm way off. Just a vibe. But I thought it was interesting that they started with John Cryer. John Cryer intros the show.
He's a bitter Betty.
I kept trying to figure out, I went back and forth on John Cryer a lot. Like, what is going on here? And I do believe that he has a lot of, he definitely has a lot of animosity. And I think it really pisses him off that, despite everything that Charlie did, that people still loved him more than John. Like that he'll never have Charlie Sheen's swagger. And no, they're not going to pay you $2 million an episode. No, they're not going to do that.
You're ducky.
Yeah. You're the straight guy.
You never would have been. Yeah. And you know what? Despite Charlie's antics, that show did go on a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Even they kept him around as long as they possibly could. And John Cryer never would have gotten a gig, and he never has gotten a gig as big as that ever again. I felt like he was really kind of an asshole. It's like he comes on at first and he says, well, I don't really want to be part of this, but then I'm going to sit here and talk to you for 2 hours about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are you here?
I don't know. I mean, I think that it sounds like he's got some it sounds like he and Charlie need to, sit down and have a chat, like maybe make some amends and apologize because, yeah. And here's the other thing too. Even if John Cryer, you were being paid a third of what he's being paid, that means you're getting $750,000. Let's say you're getting $750,000 an episode. You're doing 24 episodes a year. Mm-hmm. So do the math on that. Like, it's not, yes, it wasn't as much as him. Okay. But quite frankly, but the show, they replaced it with Ashton Kutcher and the show went on for a couple more years. But quite frankly, it wasn't going to work. Like I think that's the other part of it is there's a little bit of like, I'm sorry, but yeah, he's just charismatic and he's the star. And yeah, the bad behavior, it doesn't matter. People are always going to they're going to pay him more. And that sucks. But you're still being paid very, very, very well. Yeah. And you are working as an actor. So that's everything. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought I was fascinated by the whole thing with them all growing up together in Malibu when Malibu was a rural area, which, you forget not that long ago, it was out there. It was like, it was not built up. It was very working class, know. Yeah. And that they were friends with the Penn brothers. And also, I'd forgotten that there was this brother, Ramon.
Yeah, who looks like a combination of Emilio, Charlie, and Martin all together. It was very eerie to see him.
Yeah, and I don't know why I always thought Emilio was the youngest. He's the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie's the youngest brother, and then I think they have a younger sister.
They have a daughter, and wasn't she married to someone, Renee Estevez? Someone famous? I have to look that up, but yeah.
Yeah, and like Sean, I didn't realize he was such good friends with Sean Penn and
Nick Cage. That was the other one.
Oh gosh, Nick Cage. I have a Nick Cage story.
Okay.
So one time, my ex-boyfriend and I, this is probably like the year 1990-ish. We'd gone to concert or something in LA, spent the night. And then in the morning went to go have like a hangover breakfast at Denny's, like, off of the 5 freeway or something. And Nick Cage was there with his girlfriend at the time. And they were totally fighting, like full on arguing in the restaurant. It was quite uncomfortable. But anyway. Yeah, Nick Cage I didn't realize he was so wild and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just looked it up. So Renee Estevez is not married to anyone that famous. I think I'm getting that mixed up with the Joaquin Phoenix's sister was married to Casey Affleck. I think I'm getting it all mixed up, these famous families. So we learned very early on that I guess apparently he was born dead. The umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck and they were ready to, give him last rites. But I guess the doctor got him back alive. So his birth name is Carlos Irwin, who was the name of the doctor, Estevez. And yeah, he was the third. It's Emilio, Ramon, Charlie, and then Renee. And yeah, I mean, they grew up in, born in New York, moved to Malibu when he was 3. And, that was the life. They made Super 8 films. They went with their dad when he was shooting Apocalypse Now. They went and, with the movie, he shot movies while they were there.
In the Philippines.
Lived there.
Him. Now, didn't that movie take like 3 years to make or something?
Yeah, because they do talk about like they left and then they came back.
Martin Sheen had like 2 heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 1 or 2?
They talk about 1. I don't know if they had a second one.
During the filming of the movie. and he was an addict. He was struggling with substance abuse at the time, and kind of had a few breakdowns. I mean, the fact that movie actually got made is a miracle. But.
Yeah, I mean, there was a movie that came. God, how long ago did this movie come out? The Heart of Darkness, which was about the making of Apocalypse Now.
I remember that came out in like the 80s, I think. Because Apocalypse Now would have been like 70s.
Yeah, they said 1976 they were on the set. So I don't know if it came out in 76 or what it was. But yeah. But that was their life, was visiting with Dad and making these films. And he says this is where they start smoking weed, and it's all about smoking weed. And we're introduced to his one he's got this one friend, Tony Todd, who he played sports with, who was a really good friend of his from high school, who's never done any drugs, maybe has had a sip of alcohol, but who has been his like incredibly loyal friend from the beginning, from the jump. And we hear a lot from him as well. But yeah, and he talks about how, 1983, Emilio gets his first movie, and that was really appealing to him. There was a lot of, money and freedom, and he saw what he had. And so when he didn't even graduate from high school, I guess he had a 1.2 GPA and barely attended. And he said, well, listen, let me try to make a living, because they were like, his parents were like, you got to get a high school diploma at least. And he's like, well, let me try to give me some time, give me a shot. Let me try to see if I can make a living as an actor. And if I can't, then I'll go back, I'll get my diploma, and then I'll become a cinematographer. So he was, he was going to work in the business in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, I mean, changed his name to Charlie Sheen, wanted to carry the name. And he started auditioning at 18. His first movie was Grizzly 2, The Predator, with Laura Dern and George Clooney, which is crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But we learned, I didn't know this, that he was offered the lead in Karate Kid. But that would have been such a different movie with him. I don't think it would have worked.
No.
It works better.
And it's not like Ralph Macchio had like a stellar career, which is kind of a point that he made.
Yeah.
At the time, he saw it as this big loss because he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And his dad said, no, you can't. You already committed yourself to work on this other project, and they overlap. And your word is everything in this town, and you got to do it. And so he kind of reluctantly did it, but
he was mad.
But I don't think it changed the course or the trajectory of his career.
I don't know. I'm with Martin Sheen on this one. I am. I think that was the smarter thing. This early in your career, you need to show up, because if you don't show up, they're not going to care. So, yeah. And I guess around this time, he has his first child, Cassandra. We don't hear much about who her mom is or what's going on. I guess they were both very young.
They were like 20.
Yeah.
And, we've never heard from his daughter that I can recall. Like,
we see she's very photo.
Private.
Yeah.
She's never given an interview. I think she has 3 children at this point. And Ramon talks about how, because they were both so young, like the Sheens helped take care of the daughter, Cassandra.
And then we hear this whole story about, he's friends with Jennifer Grey, urges him, we're shooting this movie, Ferris Bueller, come down to Long Beach. And so he shows up kind of in this punk rock kind of look, and he gets the job. And then we go into this other thing where at the same time, Martin and Charlie are part of War of the Stars. And this, I'm like, dear God, we spent 15 minutes on this War of the Stars section. I'm like, this is crazy.
That was the most random thing. It's like Charlie and Martin versus Michael Jordan.
Yes.
at these basketball drills, and I'm sure Michael Jordan wasn't trying that hard, but
they handicapped him. I mean, right? Because they did this free throw contest, and he's like, oh, well, yeah, but Michael had to close his eyes.
Yeah. Right.
Well, of course he wasn't going to be able to hit everyone.
Yeah. But anyway, the Sheens ended up winning this thing. I'm sure Michael, I think they told him, let them win. And I don't know, what this was for. Was this a charity thing? Was this a show? But just seeing Dick Van Patten made me happy.
Yeah, it was nice.
Like,
it was nice to see these people again.
Yeah. What a guy.
But I'm also really interested because like the War of the Stars and those were our reality shows of the day.
Remember
like
Battle of the Network Stars?
Yes, Battle of the Network Stars. And that was kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that was considered kind of low to do that. I think back then, I think they were all contractually obligated to participate in these weird, in these things. But I'm a little surprised that Martin Sheen, who's at the time, a big movie star, is like willing to do this. But I guess he and Dick Van Patten are close.
They're friends. Yeah.
So, and so we see him, he does the scene in Ferris. He gets some acting advice from his dad, and his dad really says, this is how you need to deliver it. And his dad was right. And that scene, it becomes iconic. It really does. I mean, the movie becomes an instant hit, and everybody of our generation, we've all seen it like a million times. And that was like, he was like a breath of fresh air at the end there. It was, and I think he had also done, maybe after this, they don't talk about it, but he had done Lucas and some other movies. But
that was pretty early on too, because he was very fresh faced in that movie.
Yeah. So, but at 21 years old, they had a script for Platoon. Emilio was attached to it. And then it fell apart, and then it came back around. And, 22 years old, he lands this lead role in this Oliver Stone movie, and it changes his life. And apparently Stone offered him Wall Street on the set of Platoon. I didn't realize. I thought there was a little bit more time between the two of them, but I guess there wasn't. And then Platoon goes on to win Best Picture. And he was like 21 at the time.
Platoon was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the era, like in Apocalypse Now. I mean, it's like Born on the 4th of July. There was a whole spate of Vietnam movies.
Well, and this is also during a time where everyone was watching the Oscars. Like that was like who won Oscar, like all of that stuff. Was
I don't know who won the Oscar last year.
Really big deal at that time.
Yeah.
So
he was now a movie star.
Mega movie star, 21 years old.
At 21. Yeah. And wasn't Denise, or no, that was the Golden Globes that she was with him when he won for 2.5 Men.
Yeah. But this is when he, runs into Nicolas Cage and they become friends. And he said the next chapter is chaos, tons of drugs. So it was just a lot of partying. And we hear a lot of stories about the partying. We hear about Nick Cage getting on they're on a flight to San Francisco, and Nick Cage grabs the mic and makes an announcement, tells everyone he's the pilot, and he's having problems and issues, and he scares everyone to death on this plane. And they got into, there were 6 armed officers waiting for them. And Charlie's like, and I had a bag of cocaine taped to my leg. But because these guys were stars and they knew who they were, they let them go. So now this thing gets really, again, so this is also really kind of swept under the rug. This whole thing about him accidentally or on purpose or whatever, shooting Kelly Preston.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. That was so weird.
So I guess they were dating Kelly Preston, who later married John Travolta. It's so weird to think she's gone now. And they really kind of like she recounts her story. She says it's an accident, but maybe it wasn't. It was a little bit like, what was that all about?
Now, was she into the drugs and alcohol?
I don't think so, because I don't know if she was a Scientologist then, or if John Travolta got her into Scientology, if she was beforehand. But no, I had never heard that about her. I think as we learn about this, it sounds like when he gets high, when he's under the influence, he gets violent, paranoid and violent. And he's done this to several of his partners over the years, is threaten them. Yeah. And so this was so funny. In 1990, his mom says, we're having a birthday party for your dad. It's going to start at 9 a.m. Come to the house. And the minute I heard that, I was like, oh no, this is not a birthday party. And then she asked, oh, do you have a gun? And he's like, no, not on me. She's like, okay, come on in. He walks in and it's not a party, it's an intervention. I was like, oh no, I saw that one a mile away. The minute she,
9
like 9 a.m.
party.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the first sort of like they want him to go. Clint Eastwood gives him a pep talk, tells him that he needs to go, and he goes to rehab. And at the time, he gets the script for Hot Shots, and he does say, that really flattened the concept of genuine consequences, because even though he was abusing drugs and alcohol, even though he was, doing all these things, he was still getting opportunities. It wasn't affecting his career. And that's one thing that he does say. I think that I do wonder if he had maybe gotten famous later in life. I don't know. I wonder if he had gotten famous later, if the drugs would have been this, or if this was always his destiny. I don't know. And so, yeah, he was able to stay sober for a year, and then he started drinking again. Yeah.
I thought he stayed sober for a couple years, and then that brings, I don't know what year we're at yet. Then it brings
this is
us
1990, 90 into 91.
So then what year does he get like 2.5 Men?
That is 2000 and...
Oh, that
4 or 5, something like that. I have to look it up.
Long time.
Because they don't always give you the years on these. Sometimes they give you the years and sometimes they don't in this. But yeah, and so that all of that, he starts drinking again. All of that leads into this next section, which is about his relationship with Heidi Fleiss and sex workers. And so there was a lot of talk. We see Heidi today,
with her birds.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you have birds, I apologize, but I don't get the appeal of having a bunch of birds. I mean, maybe people see me with my dogs and think I'm insane, but I just don't get it. I don't
Birds
feel love from birds.
Soft and cuddly and
do tricks and funny things. And you can go to the park with them and talk about them. Dog park and have parties.
Well, it's so funny because the Heidi Fleiss, that was a whole nother thing.
Oh God, yeah.
She took the fall for, all these famous men that were using her services. She was the Hollywood madam. And I don't know, I don't know if I can't remember if her little black book ever became public. I'm sure it did because she went to trial.
Yeah. Yeah. She does make a very distinct point to say, this was adults with adults. This is not Epstein. I was not Ghislaine Maxwell and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah. So basically, Heidi calls Charlie a crybaby pussy bitch because that he testified against her. So I guess apparently he would always pay her cash. But this one time he's like, I'm going to use my traveler's checks. So when she got raided, they found the traveler's checks with his name on it. So he was definitely going to get caught. And she kind of feels like, I did not spell his name. They found the name. And so this was interesting where he says he talked to the U.S. attorney. And I was like, well, did you have an attorney too? Because it sounds like they really tried to do this big scare of Charlie to get him to testify against Heidi. They really said, well, did you pay for your friends to also have sex workers? And he's like, yeah, and they're like, well, that's pandering. And that's 3 to 5 years. I mean, they were really like throwing the book at him.
Well, they were just,
they're threatening him,
threatening him to get him to, they don't care about him.
Yeah.
They're not going to prosecute him. They want his testimony against her. They want her.
I guess I'm just wondering, like, wouldn't a good attorney sort of push back a little bit and be like, yeah, okay, fine, charge him? Or
no, God, no.
Okay, so you roll. So is that the right? So if they offer you immunity, you don't push back.
He doesn't give a fuck about Heidi Fleiss.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, maybe if it's your mother, you might like feel differently, but I mean,
yeah, I guess that's true.
He goes, he testifies, he's out of there, it's over.
Yeah, and also Heidi, you were doing something illegal. Like there is that
illegal.
piece of
You're
that.
Not Epstein, but it's still illegal.
It's still illegal, and you get caught for taxes. So
That's how they always get them. Tax evasion.
Yeah. But this is where the partying gets really hardcore. We meet Chris Tucker. There's someone we haven't seen in a while. They did a movie together called Money Talks. And I guess the partying really caught up with him. He had an 18-hour nosebleed. There was like blood on his shirt when they were shooting, and they had to like add it to the scene. And this is when, and so this was a kind of an interesting time because his career did take a dive during this time. Like he had been in Platoon and Wall Street and that baseball movie. Yeah. And then Hot Shots was kind of so-so. It wasn't a big deal, but then those like Money Talks and Freeman, like all of these movies, you knew he was taking this for a paycheck. Like he was not the big leading man that he was before. And so we hear another story about on Free Money, he could not stay awake. So he shoved an ice cube up his butt to keep him awake.
I didn't know that worked.
It does. Brooke, it does.
How did he find
I don't know. I swear to God, I think
he decided to try it. And
I think he tried it in that moment. I think he was like, "Oh my God, how do I stay awake? How do I stay awake?" And he's got a cup of ice, and he's like, "Well, I'm not going to be able to stay awake." I thought he was going to throw the ice in his face and like plunge it in cold water, but I think he was just like, "Well, let me just take this to the source or something." Oh no.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is so one of John Cryer's theories, because I think John Cryer has spent a lot of time thinking about Charlie Sheen, a lot more than Charlie Sheen has been thinking about you. And that's John, this is really, but he talks about how he feels like Charlie, that he never believed that he deserved what he got. And that's why he would, when things were good, he would sabotage. But I don't know. Charlie never comments on that. He never says that. He makes a lot of comments about the consequences that, throughout it, he would do these things and the consequences were never that harsh. So it made it easier for him to keep going. But I don't know.
I don't even know why John Cryer is even in this movie, honestly.
Now, how did you feel about Sean Penn? Did you think that, because I was like, God, I really respect Sean Penn. But after this, I kind of feel like, what is he talking about? Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, he didn't really say anything really important.
But it felt like a lot of gobbledygook. The one point that I wrote down was he talked about men who do cocaine and a lot of cocaine have enhanced sexual desires. But most men are derailed from sexual competency at that time. It's okay. And then he says, so what would it be like if your dick worked? If your dick worked? Well, that was Charlie. So Charlie got into all of these because these are highly sexual drugs, cocaine, I guess, crack, but that for men, it's a performance issue.
Right.
It's a performance issue. So, but Charlie didn't have that problem.
Charlie didn't have it. So he could just keep going.
So, yeah. But there was a lot of that Sean Penn, a lot of him smoking and like talking about ethereal things. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I thought you were really smart. And I think maybe you're not as smart as I think people have been telling you you're really smart, but you're not. I don't think I don't think you're as brilliant as you think you are. Just my feelings.
It just kind of shows up. I have a Sean Penn story too. Speaking of the chain smoking, I just remembered this. So when I was in law school, I worked at the Claremont Hotel and Spa, which is a fancy place in Berkeley. And he stayed there for several weeks. He was filming a movie. And so one day I'm leaving work.
Sorry, was it The Game? The movie?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry. Keep going. I think that's what it was.
This is like the mid to late
90s.
Mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
So I come out of work. I'm walking out the door coming out of the spa. I worked in the spa in the reservations office. I was walking out past the pool, and I walk out, and there's Sean Penn in a white robe and some white slippers on the phone smoking a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
The picture of health.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, and the funny thing too is, I mean, obviously back then smoking was much more permissive, but Berkeley's always been funny about smoking, not weed. Very open about weed.
Oh no,
weed is fine. But smoking cigarettes, Berkeley really was one of the first places that adopted these really strict smoking.
Yeah, like you can't smoke in your house. You can't smoke. Yeah, you can't smoke in any building where there's connected units. So you cannot smoke in an apartment building or a duplex or anything where it's connected, where the smoke could go through the duct system
and affect someone else. It's pretty hardcore.
You can't smoke anywhere near a doorway to a business.
You've got to be like 10 feet away.
At least 10 feet away.
It's. I've known some people that, were smoking in Berkeley and got those nasty looks. I'm like, oh no, yeah, they're going to chastise you for sure. But I just thought I'm sure the Claremont loved that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm sure the Claremont was like, oh, this is great.
He's smoking in his room.
Yes.
They can't say anything about it really because it's Sean Penn and probably a bunch of people staying there from the movie. But yeah.
Well, and then this is when he has this girlfriend, I guess, that was also dating C. Thomas Howell. And she introduces him to crack cocaine. And that was he said, I was aware in that moment, like, oh no, this is going to be bad. I'm going to like this too much. Mm-hmm. This isn't good.
Well, remember, that was always the story about crack. I remember when crack kind of made it to, mainstream white America, it was always like, if you do crack one time, that's it. You will be addicted to crack for the rest of your life. You will never get off it and you will die from it. Mm-hmm. Literally, like that.
Yeah, that's what we were told. Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard that from other people that, used heroin. That's another one where first time they use it. I mean, obviously the high is never as good as the first time. First time you use it, that they mentally know, oh, this is it. This is going to take me down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess eventually this girl, she OD'd like right around her 30th birthday. It was really terrible. But and so he's smoking crack. He starts shooting up cocaine. 1998, he ends up in the hospital. And this is when, I remember this, Martin comes out and tells everyone he's struggling with addiction. And I guess Charlie was really pissed that Martin was sort of presenting like what was going on with him, though I think we all knew. But there was I guess his dad maybe turned him in. There was a warrant for his arrest. And they take him to the courthouse, and they go from the courthouse to rehab. And I guess apparently he spends one day at the rehab and then leaves and then comes back. And and he talks about but he did get clean. He said it was day 11 when I was finally drug free. And, he just couldn't, it was time, I guess. And then we're on to part 2.
Okay.
Oof. So he gets out of rehab and he says, I'm looking for structure. I need structure. So he gets this call to replace Michael J. Fox on Spin City, who had stepped down because of Parkinson's. And so Spin City was 2000. And it was actually very clever because they basically, Charlie had a lot of, he looked good. And he had done that guest spot on Friends. Like he was starting to kind of come back. He was this big movie star that wasn't getting movies, but he was getting TV. He could be big in TV. And he Spin City, I guess, went on for 2 or 3 years after he joined. But yeah, he gets nominated for his first Golden Globe. He meets Denise. They get engaged. And then we see Denise. You got to love Denise.
Denise. I was shocked seeing the old footage of her.
Of how young?
How young she was. Like so young. I just had forgotten. Because the image I have of her is kind of the time when she married him. But she'd been acting for a long time.
Yeah.
She had done a lot. And then she kind of joined the cast of 2.5 Men.
I guess
his girlfriend.
Oh, and that was like a permanent. Because I've never watched 2.5 Men. I've never watched the show.
Well, the way that they portrayed it, there was like so many scenes between them. And it felt to me like she was his girlfriend on the show for a while. I don't know for how long, but
yeah, Denise Richards, I find her utterly fascinating because you look at her and she's she's just stunning, naturally stunning, beautiful. And then she opens up her mouth and it's like she is this salt of the earth, Midwestern shit, truck driver. Do you know what I mean? With the fucks and the this and the that, but like so Midwestern, like that feeling from her because she talked about how they met on this movie and Charlie was very shy and he was sober at the time. And their first date was watching Barry Bonds. Here's this story. I was in Giants Park for for when Barry hit that 70th home run.
He said the game was in Houston.
Oh, well, I was one of his big ones, 73 or something.
He broke multiple records.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to the Giants game with Dad twice when he broke a record. And I was in the bathroom both times when it actually happened.
Yeah.
But no, there was a couple years in there where he broke multiple records.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to say this was 2001. Dad still had his Giants tickets. He gave me those 2 tickets, not realizing and it was a Friday night. So I don't think he was going to be able to go, not realizing that I think this is when Barry hit 73, 74. It was a big.
Or he broke Hank Aaron's record.
Yeah.
And then he broke 700. And then there was something else.
Yes. So, yeah. And so it's all very fast. They get married. Spin City gets canceled. He says he's willing to do TV. He meets Chuck Lorre. They want to meet. And 2003, 2.5 Men. That's when the show started. So, yeah. I mean, that's it, I guess. And now we're back to John Cryer bitching and moaning.
Bitter Betty. Yeah.
But he did admit, he said, and he's right. And this is why some people are movie stars and some people aren't, which is Charlie made this kind of the disreputable character, someone that you might not like, very lovable. And yeah, that's not easy. And that's the charm. And so it was a huge hit right away. But I guess he was already like, it was too good. It was all too good. And I think he was already starting to kind of feel the pressure. And that's when he was like, okay, I found this legitimate way to take drugs. He started, taking Norco and Vicodin, which a lot of people were doing at that time. This is when these meds were being passed out very easily.
Now, is he already married to Denise?
Yeah, he's married to Denise. I think they've had Sammy. She may be, pregnant with the second one. And he talks about this, like, she was talking about this, and this is what shows you. I think we are just seeing a slice of what Denise went through, but she talks about this like I think she was like the voice of reason with him. I think that's that Midwestern, like, what are you doing? You show up to work, you don't do these things. And so she said it created a lot of irrational anger. And so she would call his sponsor and say, what is going on? There's something off here. And they would blame her hormones because she just had 2 babies. So
well, she left him when she was pregnant with the second one. So there were restraining orders. And yeah, that was a huge, it was on People magazine every week, that whole thing.
She said it was a very dark time. And I think that I do believe that really, I don't think she wanted to divorce him. and again, I think that this is like, I think for her, marriage and having these children, I think felt very serious, you know? I mean, it was very serious to her. She really, I mean, it must have been pretty awful for her to go. I mean, I just think it had to be just terrible.
Yeah, no, I think he was being physically abusive. Because, like I said, there were restraining orders. He's out of control with drugs. Must have been bad.
So they were married from 2002 to 2006. And then we meet Brooke Mueller, who meets him right after the divorce with Denise. And she had been 5 years sober. And so they marry in 2008. And, you know, they both kind of take each other down a dark path. They both start using again. Trump does make an appearance.
Oh gosh, I know.
About Brooke. And they had,
I mean, he knew her parents. They lived in Palm Beach and he knew them, and
they're a nice family.
He warned them to, you know, that she shouldn't marry him or something.
So they have twin boys, Max and Bob, and they both were born with heart problems. Okay, so this was part of it. Was that this is when Charlie was kind of like, he said, I was spending nights in the hospital and then having to go to work during the day. And I think he felt a lot of anger and resentment towards Chuck Lorre, towards the show, for not shutting down. Because he wanted to have the kids there. And so, yes, I am with you on that. I would have liked to hear from someone else. Why didn't they? Why couldn't they honor that? Like, tell me what the reason was that you couldn't honor that. Because, you know, I feel like this is what I'm talking about. I feel like Charlie gets into these situations where it's a little bit like, but I don't like this. This isn't working for me. This isn't, this is too hard. And it's a little bit like, I mean, I'm sorry, but people go through this stuff all the time. They don't have the luxury of saying, I can't go to work for a period of time. Like, I just feel like a lot of people go through this stuff. And you know.
Well, yeah. And even though this is a big Hollywood production, whatever, they can't just stop things. They have hundreds of people. It's like a well-oiled machine. They have a certain amount of time to they have contracts with the network. You know, Unions. They can't just be like, oh, Charlie, we need to take a break for Charlie. I don't know. I mean, they could have written him out for a few episodes. Yeah, sure. Like he had to go out of town or something, you know.
They could have done that. But that's the thing. There are these moments in there where you're a little bit like, okay, you talk about gratitude, but you know, you have all this reflection now. You're looking at this. I mean, how long were you doing this? A lot of people do this. This is a lot of people's lives. So I just feel like that's what he said. That's when the resentment started to build. And it's like, okay. So in 2009, Brooke relapses cocaine. Charlie teaches her how to cook cocaine. I mean, this is just
He's like, this
awful.
Is child's play, this cocaine. We need to cook this up and make it into crack.
Yes. So, and then there's the, you know, they go to Aspen for the holidays and Brooke calls the cops because I guess he says he threatened her with a knife. Because apparently they were both doing drugs. She said everyone becomes crazy and paranoid. I don't know if it's just the two of them in the house, if there are other people there. But then, you know, Brooke recants her story, drops the charges, and, you know, the marriage is just over now.
Well, yeah, and I think she has to go to rehab and the kids, and Charlie's a mess. So the kids are faced with maybe going into foster care, being taken away from them. So then Denise Richards steps in.
Of course.
She says, I'll take them. They can live with me.
And they lived with her for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because at the time, her two little ones were
They're still very little.
So, and then these guys are old. Babies. They're like 2. So she's got 4 kids, probably all under the age of 6. 5 or 6. Wow. Yeah. And this was the other thing. So Chuck Lorre wanted Charlie to apologize because this was a big mess. It was in the media. So I think Chuck wanted Charlie to apologize to the crew, and Charlie didn't want to do that. There was this whole thing about like, And they kind of gave him an ultimatum again. They sort of said, well, listen, either you need to go to rehab or the show will be canceled. And I think he was at this point where he's like, that's okay, you can cancel the show. But CBS had pre-sold so much of the show that they had to negotiate. And he kept saying, no, 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 until he basically got $2 million an episode. He was like, okay, I'll come back and do it. So he becomes the highest paid TV star. So really think about that. 24 episodes, $48 million a year. Plus he's getting residual money and all that. So then we meet Marco, his drug dealer, who, so Marco's the one who, this is when he really gets into, so now he's unencumbered by wives. He's making $50 million a year. The wives are gone. The kids are somewhere else. He has all the time in the world to party with Marco. And this is when he started missing work, but he was still able, he would miss rehearsals, but on taping day, he could hit his mark. He could say his lines. So again, they would keep him going. And again, I'm with Charlie on this because you were a prop. They weren't thinking about what's best for you. They were, they needed you to stand up long enough to film the show. And again, it's like, I think they called Denise again. And I think they say, Denise, can you come to the set and try to help? And he gets rushed to the hospital again. And so in 2011, this is the next phase. In 2011, he does an interview with Alex Jones and he just starts talking. And we learn after the fact that during this time, I guess he's using crack cocaine, not admitting it, but also taking testosterone. So this is what he's blaming for Tiger's blood.
Tiger blood. Yeah.
So Tiger blood is a combination of crack, alcohol, and testosterone, I guess. And this is where things start to go off the rail. They shut down the show. Charlie does admit that he took a lot of his anger and frustration out on Chuck. Like he does own the fact that maybe I went too far and maybe I shouldn't have blamed him for all this stuff. So then he gets fired and that's what starts the fired. And he's like winning. Duh. That's the infamous.
And he goes on tour.
Yeah. I mean,
his winning tour. And he had the, the porn stars.
The goddesses.
And there was a girl named Bree. I remember that. And they were part of his entourage. And I'd forgotten about how he would have these appearances where he'd show up and there'd be thousands of people there. And everyone's like, winning. And, they've got their winning t-shirts and their Tiger blood t-shirts. And, I mean, I think that consumed a whole summer.
It did. It was a good 2012, 2013. Yeah. I think that really consumed. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, it was 2011, actually. Yeah. I'm trying to think where I'm trying to remember where I was during Tiger's Blood because I was working at the drug and alcohol rehab. And so we would play some of these Charlie Sheen videos for people like, this is addiction. So let's see. And this is another thing. He says, well, I was really taking my cues. So this is where he kind of gets a little bit like, it got away from me. I was taking my cues from the public. He was gaining millions of Twitter followers overnight. And, he was being egged on by the crowd. So at the time, I guess he was having some money problems because I guess there was money locked up he couldn't get. I don't know. And so he needed money and Live Nation came to him and said, well, why don't you do a tour? And he said, great. I'm going to go on tour and apparently not prepare much of anything because he goes on tour and it's a huge flop. That's when it really ended. Like, because the tour, he basically, sold all of these seats to this big stadium and he had nothing more than sound bites. And that was the problem. He didn't have a show.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay. So then we kind of fast forward to they're really worried about him. He's feeling very, very sick. They don't know what's going on. Again, Denise Richards says, when's the last time you were tested? I mean, I'm surprised she said HIV. I mean, I would think that she probably maybe meant sexually transmitted diseases, but they found out.
I think she was right to assume that given his behavior. This is more than a STD.
Yeah. So, so he was diagnosed with HIV, but it's, obviously world's very different. It's very manageable. And, but he needed to start treating his health, but he was a horrible crack addict. And so what do? Marco steps in, and for a year and a half, Marco
actually thought this was smart.
For a year and a half, Marco slowly reduces the amount of crack cocaine in what he's giving Charlie, to the point where Charlie basically says, this isn't doing anything for me anymore by the end. And they're like, yeah, guess what? You're completely off the drug.
It worked.
So that's how they got him off. Yeah.
Well, and then all the people who were blackmailing him. Okay, this was before, because the reason why he eventually went on, Good Morning America or somewhere, and announced that he had HIV. And one of the reasons why he said he came out was because he's being blackmailed by everybody, and he was going broke, and he just didn't want to deal with it anymore. So he just put it out there. But how did the people know who were blackmailing him that he had it if he hadn't announced it?
Because they would go into his house. I mean, obviously he's not being discerning enough about who he's letting in his home. So I think these are women who are girlfriends, and they would see what the pills were, and then, take a picture or two, like what is, and there you go. Oh God, he has HIV. These are HIV meds.
But he claims he never transmitted it to anybody. It was just these blackmail things where And this is always a tricky thing, because I'm sure the world's so, this isn't that long ago, but the world is a bit different 15 years later. And I think that I can understand at that time, I think he was really worried about it. What is this? How is this going to be? I'm already seen a certain way. And then this last sort of 20 minutes is where he talks about everything that he's never publicly talked about. So he adamantly denies that Corey Haim, that he assaulted Corey Haim on the set of Lucas. Him, which is what Corey Feldman said.
He said he was thinking about suing him, but he was like, I don't see the point.
Didn't they say that Corey Haim's mom said, no, that did not happen?
She said, I think she did. She said something to the effect of, that could not have happened. And my guess would be is because he was 14. Corey Haim was very young. He was 14 at the time. The mom had to be on the set with him. And I'm sure she was like, I never left him alone with him.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? So I don't know where Corey Feldman gets this. I think, unfortunately, I think someone. Yeah. And actually, I've met Corey Feldman. He is
lucky
weird.
You.
Lucky me. He's a weirdo. He's very bizarre. Like, even we're walking out of this club and he's like hiding in weird places. It's like, Corey, no one's here to see you. Like, calm down. But I do wonder if this was just a bad rumor that Corey Feldman decided to repeat. I don't know. And then how do you, then no one in the movie, no lawyer connected to the movie was like, wait a second, do you have any evidence of this? Like, this is a huge accusation. I don't know. So then he gets into this whole thing about how crack is a very sexual drug. And, when a sexual drug, you're looking at a menu and you start to wonder what happens if I flip over the menu and order off the other page. And so it's the producer who says, so you had relationships or sex with men. And he said, yes. And he talks a little bit about this. I wish they got more into this, where he was trying to kind of understand what had happened. My guess would be, I think he was trying to understand, am I bi? Do you know what I mean? Like, am I bi, or is there something more going on with me? Or is this all just connected to the drugs? That's how I interpreted it. That he was trying to figure out, like, what part of this is me?
Well, yeah, contemporaneously with this documentary, he's just released a book. And I saw a clip of an interview with him talking about the book with Michael Strahan. And he gets more specific. He's not so coded. He's like, yes, I had sex with men. And so maybe he gets more into it in the book. But yeah, I kind of think that it was just, that's what the drugs, at a certain point, you have to take a lot of drugs, for his tolerance is high. He's got to take a lot of drugs. And so the inhibitions just go down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and it's also hard. Here's the thing, like when you stop using drugs and alcohol, or when it doesn't affect you the same way, life gets boring. I mean, that's always the biggest thing for addicts is like, if you live, there's so much destruction with it, but life is very exciting. Everything's moving, everything's going, and you kind of don't have to stay much. You can kind of destroy things and run. And it is hard when you get sober because you do have to sit with your feelings and you do have to sit with the mundane parts of life.
Yeah.
And so I can understand being at that place feeling like, well, let me start experimenting and seeing. But so then he decides, well, I'm just going to drink. I'm just going to drink from here on out.
Because that doesn't cause any problems at all.
But then it sounds like that did cause problems. And it looks like maybe now he says he's sober now. He's been sober 8 years. He's vaping. I did wonder, is he California sober? Like, is he still smoking weed? I could believe that. And again, I'm not here to, if that's what helps him, that's what helps him. But I guess now
he said something that I thought was really kind of touching is that one of the things that helps him stay sober, he talks about a time where, so his youngest daughter, who's, still talking to him, Lola, she's this woman, she's just like a 19-year-old young woman, but she's like an angel. She's like angelic. You know what I mean? She's very religious. Anyway, she's really trying to have a relationship with her dad because she never got, he left when her mom was pregnant with her. So anyway, apparently there was one time where she called Charlie and she wanted them to go together to get pedicures or to do something together.
Yeah, that was Sammy, actually. Sammy needed to go. Needed to get her hair done.
No, Sammy's the older one.
Yeah, I know. I believe it was Sammy. Sorry.
No.
Maybe it was. Okay.
The little blonde one?
No, I know the blonde one is Lola. The story I have written down, the story about Tony having to drive Charlie to the Valley, Moore Park or something was Sammy to get her hair cut.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, one of the girls wanted him to go take her to get her hair done, and he had been drinking and he couldn't drive. And so he got Tony to drive him. But the younger one, Lola, was talking about how she wanted to have a relationship with him. She wanted to go, they have this routine of getting pedicures and smoothies or something.
Yes.
And she's very forgiving. Sammy, I guess not so much, because she's mad about the nose job. And
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of, I think it's a 21-year-old thing. I think Sammy's also very young in many different ways. And I think she's mad at her dad, and it's whatever reason to be mad at him.
Silly.
And they got to work on all that. But it does sound like Bob is living with him, one of the twin boys. Brooke is now sober. I don't know if the other boy is living with her. Lola says that she calls him first when things are hard, when things are challenging. Denise still loves him.
I think they should get back together. Now that crazy Aaron is out of the picture. Can Charlie Sheen be worse than Aaron?
I don't think so. Not at this point. What more? And the man's 60. What more can he do?
No. And you know what? The man at least always made an honest living.
Yeah, that's true. He never knew how to support the family. Yeah.
Yes.
He wasn't moving his family into your units, your condos.
He's got a nice house. What? I don't know. Yeah, I think she'd be better off at this point with him, but
maybe they will. I don't know. I do think I always felt really sad when those two broke up because I liked both of them. I always liked Denise Richards, and and I know she got a lot of slack for a while because people accused her of like stabbing Heather Locklear in the back by dating Richie Sambora when I guess they weren't really that close of friends, and it wasn't really like that. And I think that, again, I really think that if Charlie hadn't been physically abusive, I think she would have stayed with him and probably wrote out. I think it would have been hard. She would have ridden out that addiction with him. But I think it was, he obviously did something just like he did to Brooke and just like he did to.
Yeah. And I don't know what Brooke's deal is. She just seems so I really don't know what the attraction was, but other than doing drugs together. Maybe that was it. She seems really just
That's some hard living
together there. Yeah, hard living.
That is hard living.
Yeah.
And that's also when you see Charlie's face, you can see all around his mouth from years of smoking. Because I think he got like a lower facelift kind of thing to give him that jawline. And yeah, we all have jowls as we get older, but you cannot, even the best cosmetic surgery cannot get rid of all of, he has some deep lines around his mouth from the smoking. Yeah. So, yeah. And he kind of ends it by saying, I have gratitude for my life and how I got here. And both Emilio and Martin Sheen decided not to participate, but I guess they're all on good terms. I guess there isn't any issues about that.
I think they just didn't want to. I mean, maybe they just wanted to let him tell his story without their commentary. I'm sure he knows how they feel. And look, Martin Sheen was always very supportive of him.
Yes.
He did multiple interventions.
Yes.
I remember there was a time, I mean, he'd go on camera and be crying about it. He has been over the years like extremely vocal about his support. He's never cut him off. He's never said, you're out of my life. I mean, so I think everybody knows that they support him and they just,
Yeah, I wonder how Emilio feels about him, because I think that there's probably, right, it's conflicting feelings, because I think obviously they both loved him and care about him. But at the same time, I could also understand Emilio being a little bit like, hey, pal, we're this family and you're kind of making us all look bad here, and we're all trying to help you and you don't seem to want to get help. I mean, it's frustrating for the siblings, when a sibling won't get help. And I do wonder because, and I'm sure that Emilio, every interview he did gets asked about this. I think it's a very different experience for him than it was for Ramon and Renee, who aren't in the public eye.
Right.
So much.
But there's something going on with Emilio. I think, because remember the movie that Andrew McCarthy made about Bratz movie. And when he went to go talk to Emilio, Emilio was very standoffish.
Yes.
You could tell he really didn't want to be talking about this. He didn't even let Andrew sit down. They stood in his kitchen.
Yeah.
He didn't even offer him a glass of water. I mean, it was sort of like, okay, I'm going to film with you for like 5 to 10 minutes and then this is over. He did not want to go deep. Andrew was questioning him, trying to go deep, and he just had the most blasé attitude. And I just think that Emilio does not want to go backwards, talk about the past, look at the past, talk about these things, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, I also wonder with him if, again, this is just speculation. I have my opinion. I also wonder if he feels a tremendous amount of disappointment that he never had the career his father did. Because, Martin Sheen was a movie star, well known. I mean, he was a very respected actor. I mean, Emilio Estevez, is he as respected as Martin Sheen?
Well, but he decided at a certain point to go behind the camera because the work.
Oh, is that what he's been doing? Okay.
Yeah. Well, the work that I believe, the work that he's been doing the past 20 years or whatever, is he's directing and producing. And so, yeah, I just think he just took another path. I don't, if he really wanted to be like a quote unquote movie star, and then he could have, but I don't know. I don't think that was.
Well, he was for a long time.
He was, but I think he also really liked filmmaking. He was the oldest one who was out there. He was the head of directing all those 8mm childhood films. That was his thing. Charlie was very young when they were doing that. They would be like, okay, Charlie, now someone's going to shoot you and then you're going to, fall down and pretend you're dead. Because there was so much violence in those movies.
Yeah. They're mainly just getting shot a lot.
Yeah. And they said that they got even darker after they had all gone to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Seen this filming of Apocalypse Now. So, yeah, I just think that, he enjoyed that more. But I don't know. Who knows? But look, God bless Charlie Sheen. He's still with us.
Yeah, which is a miracle. My God, this guy has 9 lives. And he has been able to bounce back a lot. Again, I also want to say, John Cryer, you also were kind of in a tough spot because you were a teen star that could not get work. 2.5 Men was very helpful for you too.
Right.
So,
you had not worked since like Pretty in Pink.
Well, no, he had done movies after Pretty in Pink, but they were never as big as Pretty in Pink. And he was just kind of like, he was one of these, he was never super cute. So he was never like the teen star. And he was kind of floating around doing not much of anything at the time. I mean, I'm sure he was working as an actor, but that was, again, a huge opportunity for him as well. So,
okay, well,
God, that was a lot. That was a lot.
It was a lot of information, but good documentary. If you're Gen X, this is required viewing.
Yes. But yeah, I like Charlie Sheen. I hope he and Denise maybe try to rekindle something.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That'd be great. And wow, what a life. Went back in time there. So much stuff there.
He's only 60. It's like,
I know. So I think it would be very cool if he would sort of like let himself age naturally, don't keep dyeing your hair, let yourself age naturally and start taking these kind of like interesting character actor jobs. Like I think he could have a really interesting career for the next 20 years if he wanted to, playing odd characters on TV shows and movies and all of that. I think there is something for him out there. I think he kind of needs to embrace being older.
Yeah, he's got to stop dyeing the hair. Yeah. And I didn't like Denise's dark hair.
I don't like it either. I like her with the lighter hair. I mean, she's always beautiful. She's always gorgeous. But yeah, I didn't like the darker hair as much as I like her hair. A little bit highlighted blonder.
Yeah. And she can tone down. She had the big, huge eyelashes.
Oh, yeah.
Really thick makeup. And
she didn't need all that.
She doesn't need all that. Just go back to your California fresh-faced.
Yeah, your top knot. Your top knot on the top of her head, and jeans and a t-shirt. Yeah, that's what we want to see.
That's what we want.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us here. If you enjoy us, please go check out our Patreon. We do a weekly bonus. We have a higher tier where we're currently doing the book clubs, Christine Brown Woolley's book from Sister Wives. That's exclusive on Patreon on the $8 tier. If there's other ways to support us, you can follow us on social media. We're on YouTube. Hello. Give us a review if you haven't already and you're a fan of our show. Positive 5-star reviews really do help us. And and subscribe, tell a friend, spread the word. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, it's Christy.
And I'm Kelly.
You might remember us as the OG partners in crime from Dance Moms.
Well, this is Back to the Bar, the podcast where we drag out every insane, chaotic, and iconic moment from the show.
We're spilling the tea, calling out all the BS, and sharing stuff you definitely didn't see on TV.
New episodes drop every week, and yes, we're laughing through the drama.
For once. Follow, grab a drink, and join us as we go back to the bar.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.